I think you should have done that because you're the guest, but oh well.
It's your show.
Well, hey, thanks for coming on and doing this.
Oh,
cheers.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I saw you.
It has. Been working a lot.
The last time I heard you talking about stuff that you did for work, it was through somebody else because they told you that it was their. No, you texted them. I forget who it was, but somebody said that you had the first weekend off in like 4 or 7 years. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, because I worked for the same dealership because I detail.
Okay.
I've worked for the same dealership for since May 2014.
Okay.
So I've got my bachelor's degree and started doing photography while I was there, but it's a good job. It's a good family.
That's cool.
But I used to work every Saturday.
Oh, okay, that's what it was, every Saturday.
Every Saturday. And then now I'm just weekdays, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's still the same place then, but you're doing photography more now on like weekends?
Every weekend.
Every
Saturday,
weekend?
Sunday. I'm booked until June.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot in the amount I can process. I used to do like 3 shoots a weekend, but now I'm doing more like 1 to 2.
What kind of shoots are they? Are they like consistent for like the style, or is it like all over the place? Because like the stuff that I see, it's like it's curated for your feed, for your grid. So it's very consistent. Not consistent, but like it all fits.
Well, I mean, I think I found an edit that I like, and then I kind of like base every shoot off that edit. Like even stuff I did for Greyheart. Like I like Greyheart denim.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh, was that when you guys went out to Revelstoke?
No, Greyheart is a local men's vintage store, which I actually got this like sweater from.
Oh, sweet.
And the shirt, and the hat. Sorry, but they also like fix clothes.
Oh,
like
cool.
They're like a 4th generation, like tailor, pretty much.
That's cool. And like they specialize in denim mostly?
Yeah, well, repairs, mostly denim and just like clothes, like if you get like a hole in your shirt and then you just stitch it up.
Oh, cool. Actually, funny enough, my shirt started losing threads today. You have to give them a call.
Yeah. Well,
like, you know that little,
good.
like seam that keeps the lip on the bottom?
Yeah.
And like that seam kind of starts coming out and your shirt starts like tulipping out. It's like, damn it. Oh, by the way, we can swear. We can say anything you want on this.
Okay.
Yeah, there's absolutely no filters. So funny enough, actually, some unnamed station reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we like your podcast. Can we put it on our network?" And I said, "Well, that's fine, but I'm not editing anything." They're like, "Oh, okay."
Might have to pass.
Yeah, no, it didn't really work out.
No.
That's cool though.
Well, it's your vibe. You got to stick with it.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of changing it for some sensitive ears. But anyways, tell me about this summer. What are you doing? What are you doing this summer? Yeah, like you've got a lot of shoots going on, but like, are you excited for camping season, or what's your vibe?
I want to camp. I want to hopefully, like, I think with COVID and when the restrictions ease up even within the province, I think like COVID has let me see what I haven't seen in my own province. Like I've never been to Tofino. I've been to Victoria. I've never been to Tofino. I want to go to Tofino. Never been to Nelson. I want to go to Nelson.
I did that last year. Never been to Nelson. Met so many people from there. Finally went.
I've heard great things.
You're going to like it. You're going to like it a lot.
And then even like go back to Revy because Revelstoke I love it. Like you were mentioning the trip. Mm-hmm. I've done 2 trips to Revelstoke for the Stoke Hotel. And it was probably two of the funnest trips I've ever done.
Because you actually had to spend some time in Revelstoke and like find cool spots to shoot at. Like it wasn't just like go to one venue, live there for 2 days, and then go back to wherever you came from. Because that's mostly my kind of trips in the past.
Well, I mean, Noah has went on both trips with me, and Noah did the video for the first one, which is spectacular. But Noah shoots a lot differently than I do. I'm very like reactive, laid back. He's very planned out. So the first shoot, like when we got there, we kind of knew what we were doing. The second one, we were just like, oh, maybe we should do this. But then also they wanted us to try out a couple of the restaurants there. And so we kind of had to plan around that too.
Okay. Was he kind of losing his mind halfway through that second trip?
Well, I just told him, because he did such a good job with the first one. I was like, you're not even shooting. You're just here to hang out and have fun. So he brought his old camera and made like a 8mm mini movie.
Oh, yeah.
He had edited before he left.
He's a monster that way.
He's insane.
We did a trip to Surrey for a shoot a couple weeks ago, and he was fully intending to edit all the way there and all the way back. We hung out and just chatted the whole time, but he had his laptop like juiced up and ready, everything all portable, ready to just sit in that passenger seat and just crank away. I was really happy that it didn't, because it would have been really boring.
Yeah, he gets in the zone. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
He just does his thing. For me, it's just like whatever happens. That's how I shoot. That's how I edit. That's how, like, I have an idea of what I want from the shoot, but I'm just like, I'm so reactive that I don't have an exact shot planned.
So you're reactive, but you kind of set up the situation. Like you told people, like, be here, see you then. And then you're reactive, like, within that context.
I'm also reactive within the context of even the situations that you see. Because, like, a lot of, like, because I shoot with a lot of women. And a lot of, like, even women play with their hair differently or do different things. And even any human will do different natural movements. And so you have to be reactive to based off of what that person is doing. And I just capture the moments I see them naturally doing.
Are you like a people watcher? Do you like that?
Well, I mean, like,
like, it's kind of fun to just like be sitting like on a patio and just like pick out targets here and there, just like downtown, moving around, and just watch how they talk to each other or don't.
Well, I also like when I go out, I'm always the DD because I'll maybe have one drink. I don't drink heavy. So when I'm at the bar or the corral or anywhere, not COVID, you end up people watching a lot because you're sober. So yeah, I would say I am, but I think it's just the way to capture someone and capture them how they'll appreciate is going off their natural movements.
Right, because they've probably seen themselves. I'm just bumping you up a little bit because you're kind of like leaning back here. That's totally fine.
I chill.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to just like look and observe people out in public, and like to be a person that's not really too concerned with like being super involved in what's going on, and just take it in and like take those ideas or the things you learn from them and like ask people like, hey, do you do this too? Or, hey, could you try this? I saw this thing. It was interesting. It looked cool. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can take that. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to be able to just create a synthesized moment from like real events that happened.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm trying to do is like, I have an idea of like what the person should wear and where we're going to shoot. But you have to like see what occurs. Like sometimes you don't know weather will change, or so the complete vibe of the shoot will change. So you just react to whatever you have.
But sunny days or cloudy days, your photos do look like you took them.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, where did you get that? Like where did that? Like I know you told me that you created your own presets, and that's great. That's really cool. But we know that if you take one preset and apply it to two different photos, it doesn't look like the same preset. You got to tweak some stuff, but you've developed that look. Like what made you like
probably
that like
the
low
lens.
contrasty look?
Well, even the lens. It's the focal length. What do you think people usually take portraits with?
50, 85.
I do not. I shoot every photo, almost every photo except when I go to when I went to Joshua Tree, like the Joshua Tree photos are with my 24-70, Revelstoke, anything where I don't know what'll happen. But any portrait shoot, I have my Sigma 35 1.4.
35's your happy focal length?
Yeah, it's great. I think it's the landscape portraits. That's how you can tell, I think.
There's a nice thing about a 35 because you do see a little bit more about where this person is. And to have them fill up the frame, they need to be a certain distance from you.
Yeah.
And that it's weird how like that actually changes the model's movements too, like depending how close in proximity you are to them.
Yeah. Even like the close-up shots are with a 35 because there's not too much distortion like you'd have with a 28 or 24.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can still take those really close-up shots, but then you can get the landscape photos too.
And did you arrive on that 35, or did someone else tell you and you tried it and you decided you liked it?
I think I always liked writing, and I've always liked like the story idea of shoots, like telling a story with photos, like not just one photo, but like if you also see in my board, it'll be like 10 photos every first time, and I go 3 photos for each set, and then it's like maybe 5 or 2 for the next 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm posting like 12 photos. So it's a whole story. And so I think I've always liked the wide aspect of it.
That's really cool.
That was just playing with I had an 18 to 55 EFS with my Canon Rebel. And so played around with that. And then, sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place, but I went to the Netherlands with my grandmother. So I fell in love with photography with my iPhone. That's how most people do. I lived so far away from the university, I couldn't go home during classes, or I would wait until the school zone, or had to leave before the school zone was in effect or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always would just take photos around the school, sunrise, sunset, when it's like in the winter months. I just fell in love with it. So my parents got me a Rebel with air miles.
Nice. Do you remember what Rebel it was?
T5i. I still have it.
T5? Oh,
I gave it back to them.
Oh, cool.
I don't need it. So like they went on a trip together to Tofino, and so they took an actual professional camera, rather than just have an iPhone.
That's cool.
Because it was kind of cool because my dad, because in the past year and a half I've really fell in love with film photography. And so my dad actually gave me his high school film camera.
Is that the one you brought?
No, that's a Mamiya RB67.
It's a what, sorry?
A Mamiya RB67.
That's a film camera? I know nothing about film cameras.
It's a medium format. So there's 35 millimeter,
mm-hmm.
which most people know. And then medium format has multiple film formats within that. So there's like 6x4, 5 centimeters, 6x6 centimeters, which is like a Rolleiflex, like a TLR, twin lens reflex,
mm-hmm.
Or a Hasselblad, and then 6x7, and that's a 6x7 centimeter. So it's almost like for someone who shoots digital, I compare medium format to 35 millimeter as crop sensor to full frame. Because the larger the film shot you have, a 6x7 compared to a 35 millimeter, the clearer the image will be, the more information you have on an image.
Right.
But you also get less shots. You only get 10 shots with that camera.
Per roll of film?
Per roll of film.
So you got to make each one of them count.
You got to slow down and enjoy the process. But I'm planning on selling that. That's why it's here.
Oh, right. That's what you're telling me about the other guy that might be meeting you up after this. Is he telling you he's going to do it?
Yeah.
Sweet. That's cool. Do you have a time you need to be gone by?
No.
Okay. That's really cool, though. I'd heard about some new medium format digital cameras coming out.
They always have. Hasselblad has medium format. Like medium format still exists. One of my favorite photographers, love his YouTube channel. His photos are amazing. Is Tyler Shields. He shoots both film and digital. He uses Hasselblad digital cameras for his images, which usually give you about, I think the smaller Hasselblads give you 50 megapixels,
mm-hmm.
and then the larger ones give you about 100 and some megapixels per image.
Right.
Which that's a medium format camera.
Right, just because like the physical sensor size is so much bigger, you can still take the same pixel sizes as like a fairly common full frame mirrorless camera or
Yeah,
DSLR
it's just,
or whatever.
I don't know how I'm not a technological wizard. I do not know how it works. I just know that like Hasselblad and even Fujifilm, I believe, makes a medium format, which is about I think 56 megapixels. I don't know how it works, but it exists. It's not in my blood right now. I'm good enough with I just use a Canon RP, the cheapest full frame mirrorless camera on the market.
That's your go-to?
That's my go-to.
What do you like about it?
The size, the affordability.
You're not afraid to like drop it somewhere because it's not like a small mortgage?
At first I wanted to, I had a 6D Mark II. That was my upgrade from my Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted a second one because I started doing a little more events and just like have a second body. But the RP was cheaper, had about 100 more focus points and eye autofocus, whereas the 6D Mark II didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I ended up with it, and I enjoy it. Taking it everywhere. But
that's really cool.
yeah.
So you got this real intense interest in photography, as if it's not obvious by now.
No.
And it sounds like you like to do things with other people, whether or not they're in front or behind or beside the camera.
Yeah.
I actually don't know like the flushed out version of Cameras and Coffee. All I know is that it'd been going for like a few weeks, and I've been hearing Noah going on and on about it to me, like, you gotta come out, you gotta come out. And I think I made it out to 2 before COVID.
Yeah, that we almost had every second week before COVID. But so I'm gonna go back to when I had the Rebel. I shot Center of Gravity.
The last one?
The last one with Wu-Tang. And some random guy messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I'm emceeing an event. I need a photographer. Are you shooting Center of Gravity?" I'm like, "Nah, but I would like to." Gave me a free weekend pass. I shot the bikini contest for an hour each day, and then I got to stay there for the rest of the day. So I just went to every event and took my camera and took 2,000 photos. One of which is of Wu-Tang. I'll show you later. But
if you want to pull it up, we can plug in and show it, by the way. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. But I thought, this is a photography one. If it's
we can do that. I don't know. I know exactly where it is.
It'll pop up on Cam 3.
But so that kind of started my passion. I'm just trying to find the folder it would be in. I for someone who shoots a lot of cameras and stuff, I do not know technology at all.
I had to directly steal someone else's. Oh, sweet! Let's throw that up.
Maybe one of my favorite photos of all time that I've ever taken. The only crappy part was I didn't shoot raw at the time. Shoot raw, kids. Shoot raw. Shoot
raw. If you can shoot raw, do it. That is so cool, though. Like you can, it's a little blown out, but I like the feel of that. Like that's a really cool.
I think it's one of the first times that all 9 members were together. I think. Don't hold me to it. I like Wu-Tang, but I'm not a big Wu-Tang fan. But
I didn't know who they were or what they were before they were the headliners for COG that one year. And then I heard so many people talking about, oh my God, it's Wu-Tang. I'm like, who's Wu-Tang? Because I have lived under a rock for half my life.
Well, I mean, it's all whatever you want or whatever you hear, right? But I think it was just like the photo itself of that moment of the guy popping the champagne bottle. Kind of just gets you hooked. And so then within a year, my step-grandfather had passed away, and my grandmother wanted to spread his ashes in his hometown in the Netherlands. And so I went with my 78-year-old grandmother for 17 days to the Netherlands and just took my camera and took as many photos as I could. And I got hooked. And the funny thing is, the only reason I was able to go on that trip was because I didn't get into the teaching program.
And that would have taken you in a completely different direction.
Completely different direction. And so for me, like, I think everything works out as it should and how it should. But it was just an amazing trip, and I just loved the idea of capturing moments. Like, I took photos of my grandmother with her, like, my step-grandfather's family, and it was just capturing those moments felt amazing. And, like, even with film, I have a photo of Joshua Tree, and it's the idea of knowing exactly how you felt when you were there. Like, that's film. That's unedited.
Yeah, there's a lot of different gradients and different ways that it looks versus like all the digital images I'm so used to seeing. That's really different. I like that. There's some really cool magic about photography, and I have my own version of Story with Your Grandma. A little over a year ago, my grandma passed away, and we went over to Alberta for a funeral, and I took photos of us like laying her to rest, and it was one of those things where like there's no feasible way to ever go back and recapture those ever again. Like, this is like a one and done thing forever, and for like the family, it was really special to have those. But it's so cool, like, to be able to gift that to someone else as well.
Well, when I got to the Netherlands, because they were always married when I was alive, and his brother came out and visited us and took a photo of me in 1995. So the year I was born, I have a photo, and he gave it to me when I got there, of me, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my parents. And that is the film photo he gave me from 1995. So it says it captures moments. It captures like a part of you, in a sense, which is amazing.
And he gave it to you like a physical photo?
Like a physical photo.
And those have something special to them yet. Like another level past just having a photo of an event, but actually having like a physical thing to like hold and look at. I haven't done it for a little while, but for a little bit, I was actually picking like my top photo from some shoots, and without telling the person I've been shooting with, got it printed out and framed and gifted it to them. Like, wrote like a little like, hey, this was awesome. I love this photo. Here you go. This is for you, kind of thing. And I don't know, there's something really cool about like gifting and like a physical memory that someone else has had. Sometimes it's in a way that they don't usually see themselves. Like if it's like a shoot, or if it's like an event, they didn't get to see it that way.
For me, like film, because I shoot so much of it, I only usually get the digital copy for the moment. I still have all of my negatives. So if you have a negative, you can still print the image. But even adding film photos to a shoot, people are amazed. Because some people have never seen a film camera or used one or been shot with one. And like, I have a pretty hefty collection. I think I have about like 50 cameras.
50 cameras?
About there, yeah.
Like film cameras?
Yep.
Or mixtures?
Mostly film. All film.
That's a lot. Do you have them like arranged on like a display, or they're like, there's like 12 in this box, there's like 4 more in there?
There's a cupboard. I have a cabinet in my closet. It's a built-in cabinet.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I met a guy in Salmon Arm that he'd been doing photography for decades, and I was there because I was assisting on his first ever like short film that he wanted to shoot. And like, his house is this old relic. Like, it's cool, creaky as hell, which was a bitch for sound, but it was so cool because like there's so much character in this old house, and him and his wife both shot photos, him more so, but they both shot. And though there were like glass front cabinets, like old wooden cabinets full of like I don't remember which type of camera it is, but like you're looking down into the reflection and it's upside down as to where I should take the picture of.
So it can be like, you can even do that with that camera. So it's any ground glass camera, but mostly like TLRs are like that. twin lens reflexes.
Okay.
So you have the viewing glass and the taking glass.
Right. So you actually have to shift because there's two lenses. So if you line it all up for what you're seeing, the image is like a couple of inches further away from that.
Yeah. So like I could be like looking, see a clear image, but I could take a photo of the table.
And you won't know until whenever you get them developed.
Yeah. Yeah, no. For me, like film, I guess especially with COVID, I like with my history degree, I love the history of film cameras, but also just like the process of shooting film is something you won't experience with digital.
The anticipation of waiting to see how it's going to turn out versus like bang, 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 bang. One of those is fine. Moving on.
Well, even like, and then sometimes you only get one or two photos. Where's the photo of the spoken Mr. Dorsey?
I really hope he reads my text and gives us a call. It'd be fun to have him on.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably in the zone.
Probably in the zone.
Actually, I'm going to try give him, after you find this, I'm going to try give him another call.
You can see all my I even have a selling cameras folder.
You're way more organized in your albums than I am.
But like here, this isn't like, Noah, but this is probably one of my first film photos I ever took. It was with a camera my uncle just gave to me. I didn't even realize it was film, so I didn't even look at it. And I saw some film photographer using my camera. I'm like, what? And that started my addiction. And I just have like just fun like memories of like there's Noah, just like you just at Cactus. I think that's cameras and coffee.
That's the day that he called a coaster a cup holder. And I remembered that. And for his birthday, I actually got your wife, Jen, to get a coaster and write cup holder on it. And I gave that to him for his birthday.
That's what that was for.
That's what that was for. And he told me that he still uses it every day, which made me really happy. I'm going to try, see if I can get him in here with us.
But like this is film. You can't even tell.
That's film.
That's awesome.
That looks so good.
So bright.
Noah, pick up. I'm gonna
Probably shooting.
I hope so.
Hi, this is Noah Dorsey.
No voicemail. Oh, damn it. Someone was just calling. I think that was him. It totally was. Playing phone tag now.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hey, dude. We were just looking at photos of you.
Oh, that's nice of you to do. Why would you be doing that?
Because I'm here, Noah.
Hey, Mitch. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man.
We're talking film photography, and I'm showing him the photos of you that I took on film.
Well, I'm actually here with Aaron De Silva. We just finished shooting some film on the 28 mil that he's never shot on.
On the camera, I
on the camera you sold him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm happy he loves that film camera.
Thanks, up.
No, you're welcome, Aaron.
You changed my life.
That must speak for itself right there, though.
I don't want to even make videos anymore. What'd you do to me?
Oh, don't say that, because then everyone will hate me. Because your videos are too good.
What were you guys shooting?
Just playing around.
Just playing around.
Oh, cool.
Aaron got me to look like a mafia boss.
Oh. I mean, you already have the clothes for it, so.
Yeah. Halfway there. Just had to capture it.
Just had to capture it. Well, I can't wait to see the photos.
Should be fire.
Should be fire.
It'd be fun to see.
We were just saying you probably weren't picking up because you were shooting, and happy that you were.
This is fact.
Doing what you do. All right. Well, hey, I was glad to have you guys on here for a little bit. We have to do this again. We'll have to bring Aaron and you on. Hear about how the shoot
Yeah,
went.
100%. Oh, man. We'll have a great rest of the pod. Chat with you later.
All right.
Okay, there.
Bye. Never done that before. That was cool, though.
I don't know. It's cool, like a guy like Aaron who's so creative, and like people will look at his art and then be like, and I've like asked him so many questions, and then he asked me for a film camera, and then he starts asking me all these questions. It's kind of a cool parallel of like how, even like going back to like after this huge tangent of your question of not hearing the story about cameras and coffee. It's just like how you can create a community where people can learn from other people from the aspects that they know they're good at. Like you don't have to, like for me, it was the switch from the APS-C sensor to the full frame, to the 6D, where I started watching a lot of YouTube. Like I think Peter McKinnon was on most days.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. I self-taught myself. Like I taught myself how to shoot photography, film, anything. Like film photography, digital photography, everything. I taught myself.
It's really fun to teach your stuff like that because it's like it's hard. It's not easy. No one's spoon feeding you it. Even if you find someone like Peter McKinnon who's influenced all three of us in different ways, like you still have to go and do the work. It's like you're not going to do this unless you really want to do it, and it kind of instills it a little bit deeper than if you like went to a class because it was part of some curriculum.
Yeah, for me, like it was the YouTube video ends every time. It'll always end. And so when I was learning, you go out and shoot, but then you don't have that knowledge or someone to ask a question about in the field. You have to go back to the YouTube video. And so it was actually like someone had told me, it was actually, it was Alex. And he was just like, I kind of brought up the idea to Jordan Powers. And then I brought it up to Alex. And Alex was just like, that sounds so cool. But I didn't know the name. Like I didn't have an idea of the name or anything. I was just like, I want to create a group where people can get together and just talk, collab, like actually go past a YouTube video. And then I was driving by, I was actually going to go pick up Jordan because we were going to go have a drink. And I drove by the A&W on Gordon. And that's where they have the cars and coffee meet. Okay. I was like, why can't you do this with cameras? Like, people love their cameras. Like, a little less with digital because they're all so similar. But why can't you have a group of people that know a skill and spend so much time on a passion like a car and get together? Like, most people that meet at Cameras and Coffee will, like, hear someone's first name and not know them, but then hear their Instagram handle, and, like, they've had conversations for months.
That's actually really cool. I didn't know that was the case. But that's really cool. Maybe I've just been using Instagram in a different way. But
like, think about it. Like, you, like, I don't even, like, I can't really ask this question because it's, like, past Cameras and Coffee. But, like, for me, Instagram was very much just, like, a different kind of Pinterest. In a sense. Like, I still posted a lot. I still, like, worked on my craft. But I saw the community culture very much as a passive culture. In the sense, when you were going on Instagram, you were just looking at people's art. And like just viewing it like you're at a gallery and not talking to them or like collaborating with them or working with them.
This is Instagram or Pinterest?
Instagram. You can say that about Instagram or Pinterest at like how I viewed it, because I was just looking at Instagram for either just like a passive thing, like cool art, or inspiration. And there were so many cool local talent, and Aaron De Silva and Noah Dorsey are good examples of that. would want to work with them, but you have no idea how to work with them. And with Cameras and Coffee, you create this group and this community where people get introduced to different people. I met Shoaib a week before Cameras and Coffee started.
How'd you meet them?
I met him in the park because Shoaib is one of the most talkative people you will ever meet. He'll talk to anyone. And we were doing long exposures in City Park. And he came up and he's like, we just started talking and he's like, I bought this camera a week ago, just like quit my job. And then we're just like, hey, we're having the first Cameras and Coffee in a week. And he was one of the first 5 people, because I think I have this, I'm going to go to Instagram. It still works. Yeah, it works for the whole darn thing, right?
I met Shoaib at my first Cameras and Coffee, and that was when I got there, and I think Noah just told me, like, hey, you should go meet Shoaib. I forget why, but he's like, go meet Shoaib. And we started talking, and yeah, he is one of the most outgoing, most conversational people I've ever met.
One of the nicest.
And so cool. He's so nice. He listens. He doesn't just talk. Like, he's not just like going and going. He's actively listening at a pace that would exhaust me if like gone for a long enough time, but it just gives him so much life, and he's just so cool to be around.
Yeah, he is. And then that's the first Cameras and Coffee meetup. 5 people.
It's so cool for me to see because I heard about it from him. I heard about it from Noah, and it's like I was just waiting to get into this too, and then COVID hit, so we didn't get.
Do you want? Have you seen the photo of the last meetup before?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so this was the first, and I only have that photo. This is another thing I hate. Just maybe I was tagged in it. Yeah.
But it's so true, like what you're saying about,
Was that?
you get the inspiration, but you don't get the interaction like the community gives.
Yeah. It's
Is that the Canoe Coffee one?
the Bright Jenny. Yeah.
Bright Jenny, right?
Well, can you?
At the time, I think it was Canoe, but
yeah, it was.
I don't know if I'm in that one or not. I don't think so. But yeah, there's a big
That's
group.
That's the last meet.
There was another group photo that I know I missed out on. It was a big group. It wasn't quite that big, but it was like one of the weeks like I almost went, and then I was like, I'm kind of tired. It's Sunday. I'm going to take today off. And
That one?
yeah, that's the one. That's the one. And those are so cool because those photos are full of people who right now are doing some pretty cool stuff. And not everyone, but a lot of them have like continued to push themselves, and they're posting some pretty cool work.
And a lot of people have met because of cameras, like not just because of Cameras and Coffee, but again, you look at the passive culture as compared to the active culture in the sense there's a lot of people that knew each other from Instagram, but would they have worked together? Maybe, maybe not.
Right. I suppose also on Instagram, I don't know if everyone else feels this way, but there's a bigger disconnect. Like you are one message away from working with someone, but it kind of feels like there's not really any reason for you to talk with them. But if you're at the same physical meetup, you can walk over and say, hey, you're here and I'm here too. Hi, my name is. Would you like to work together? It's a little bit easier. But on Instagram, you could literally be hit up by anyone. They'd be like, I'm going to be in your city next week. Do you want to work together? Like, they don't have to be from where you're from at all.
No.
So it's a little bit more random that way. It's a little easier, but it's a little bit harder to sometimes overcome those, like the stage fright of going over and saying, hey, I love your work. Can I come and tag along on a shoot with you sometime? Or something like that.
Well, yeah, and it's just like, I want to learn your craft. Like, one of my good buddies, like, he moved to Victoria. Him and Timmy Gregson are probably two of the coolest car photographers I've met. They're like Donovan, but I've never met Donovan. Shane O'Leary and Timmy Gregson. I would never have met Shane. But now, like, because of COVID, I have done a lot less. Like, I still shoot outside on the weekends, but I just go to work and then go home. And so I game a lot of COD. I've been gaming a lot of Warzone. And so him and I game every day And it's just like I would never have even met that person if it wasn't for Cameras and Coffee. Some people say they've been so worried about showing up and like nervous, but then it's become one of their favorite things.
I loved both of my times I got to be there. They were so much fun. And the second time was when we ended up at Cactus Club, and I don't think we actually left until about 6 or something.
No, we hang out
like
for
it got
6
dark.
hours. Yeah,
it got dark before we pieced out, and we didn't even piece out. Then we kind of just broke off into, "Hey, so we're gonna go." I'm like, "All right, we're gonna go over this way and keep shooting." And actually, I got a photo of Noah that night with like this, like I don't know what they're called, but like a hat with like a brim all the way around, and it was underneath the little hanging string lights that's next to Pita Pit in that little like the laneway.
I saw that photo.
Yeah. I love that photo. It was just like a really nice little scenario that just we kind of walked into. And I had another guy, actually, Matt Brown. He reached out. He was like, "Hey, I love that shot. Can we try and do a shoot together and try to get something kind of like that?" We tried on what ended up being like the coldest day of the whole year. Like we stopped outside. We went inside and started shooting at a little studio afterwards that I had access to, but we stopped because I couldn't physically press the button anymore. I had to like move my hand down from the shoulder in order to click the button because my fingers didn't work.
yeah,
It was so cold.
There's a lot of people that I've met and worked with because of Cameras and Coffee, and for me, it's just, even if it wasn't about the collaborations, I knew I was going out every 2 weeks and creating and shooting. That's what at the bare minimum, that's what it was. And then you get to do it with cool people.
Well, that's a cool thing to look forward to. If I knew like every 2 weeks, there's this intentionally dedicated time to be around a bunch of like-minded creative people, and I'm not going to go and do nothing. I'm going to go and do stuff, and it's going to be awesome. Like, that would just jazz me up all that whole week.
Yeah.
Like, I miss it. I miss it a lot. Now we kind of have to make our own, like, little one-offs here and there all over the place, But
again, like, you met those people, like, a lot of the people that I've, like, hung out with or shot with, I've met because of Cameras and Coffee, and so you can go do those things. Like, it doesn't just have to be within the group. It's very much like a meeting place. It's, you meet someone, and then you can go do that thing or collaborate on whatever you want. And for me, like, the trip to Roll Soak, we had, the first one we had myself, Jordan Powers, Jordan Brogio, Noah Dorsey, Lauren Leggett, what other, like, camera person did we? That's it. But that's a pretty good team. And then the second trip we had me, Shoaib, Natalie, and Noah. And Shoaib made the video, and I did the photos for the hotel, and then all the rest of us, we just had fun with it.
that's awesome.
Yeah, any place is like, do you want to stay here to do exactly what you would do without the free stay? Can you do that? Yeah. Oh, do you mind taking 50 photos and do one minute video on a weekend? Not at all.
That sounds like fun. Sounds like work to some people. Sounds like fun to a lot of people.
It is what you make it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, you surround yourself with good people. You take those good people on a trip like that, it just makes it a fun time, and you get cool shots.
Is there any aspect of, from thinking about an idea of what to shoot to it's done, like anything in between there, is there any aspect that is a bit more draining than giving and you kind of need to push through it?
Probably the edit.
The whole edit or like part of it?
I think it's the idea of some people view edits differently, expectations of an edit, and also I don't get paid for all my shoots. A lot of it's me just trying to be creative, And I think there's an expectation of more than what I can mentally and physically give. Because at one point, when I was doing the 3-4 shoots a weekend, I actually stopped shooting digital. Like, I stopped doing shoots because it just was too overwhelming and too hard on my mental health. And then that's why I do 1 to 3 shoots a weekend now. Is because I can balance it. I can get almost all the edits done in a week. Maybe touch up stuff in the second week, but
You're not too much into the super detailed touch ups, like for picky
like dodge and burn and
yeah.
So I've never used Photoshop.
All Lightroom.
All Lightroom.
There's limited things you can do in there.
Yeah.
For fixing stuff, there's limited stuff you can do. You can fix a lot. It's impressive how much you can fix in Lightroom, but you're not going to duplicate the plant pot and move it over where the plant pot wasn't further down the row.
For me, like if a sign is somewhere, it does not bother me. That's compose the photo differently if it bothers you.
I like that mentality.
Like if it's truly a problem, yeah, okay, if you have the skill to dodge and burn and replace stuff, go for it. Because that is a skill and that takes time, and people should pay good money for that. And they should just pay good money because people expect, like, people see iPhone photos and then they like buy an iPhone preset. I'm not saying everyone. They buy the presets and then that's like an expectation that is built. But like, there's some people, like even today, like Artist Honesty, which is an amazing portrait photographer in the Okanagan. He just released his own preset pack, and his edits are amazing, and it is a completely different vibe than anything else. And so like, it's an art to even the edit and to the feel you create. Because like people have come up to me and be like, "Hey, I know when you have taken a photo." That's a cool feeling. Because if people can see a photo and it can be completely different things. Like I have, like I did this shoot for Grey Heart. They didn't even ask me. Like I saw Paul working. Like Paul does like the tailoring. And I just saw him working. I'm like, I want to capture you doing the thing you love. And I didn't know he was a 4th generation tailor until we started talking. But like, yeah, I just captured him.
Whoa.
I didn't ask him to pose or anything. That's just me, like, fly on the wall.
Man, black and white edits scare me. I don't know why. I've only done one in the last year where I intentionally shot black and white, like shot for a black and white edit. There's something about him. It's like, man, this is either going to be really cool or awful.
But you like look at that photo.
But those look so good.
Well, I love like, the contrast of both. Another funny thing is, their friend Corey Windmills.
Yeah.
Windmills. I did an all film photo shoot with him the day after I did this shoot. And that's a jacket that Paul is actually making. He made from scratch. And he saw all the buttons being placed and like the emblem, like the Grey Heart emblem, like the logo for Grey Hearts.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was like the pin, and it's like it's a special pin. And he's like, oh yeah, like I saw the jacket he was working on. It's so cool, like the pin. I'm like, I have a photo of him hammering the pin in.
That's so cool.
And that was Corey's jacket?
No, it's Paul. It's Paul. Paul sells it.
Oh, wow.
At Grey Heart.
That's a really cool moment. Like that says a story. You were talking about you post like 12 photos and they tell a story. This single photo here has a story in it.
But yeah, but I do like the 12 because it's just like the scissors in the corner there are his mom's from when she was a seamstress.
I recognize that little pin cushion as well. Like,
oh yeah, every grandmother.
Grandmother has that.
pin. My grandmother has that
with
pin
like the
cushion.
little pepper hanging off it on the little green string. My mom had that exact same one.
But yeah, you can like look at any photo, and it's the same. It's the same kind of edit. Like each is made differently. But
Do you think those ones stood out to you more just because like the tradition of what he's doing with the tradition of?
oh yeah, it's one of my favorite photo
what you're
shoots I've
doing?
ever done.
Yeah.
Because it's not even really a photo shoot. It's me.
So it's like your
Wanting to
style
capture.
with his style, and they just
Yeah.
complemented each other so much. It looks like.
Well, yeah, it's the thing. Like for me, it wasn't even like, oh, can you do this, please? It's like I want to come in and capture what you're doing. That's pretty much what that is.
That's such a cool thing to do for someone. And I think that goes back again to the whole it's really special, like to gift someone a moment in time in like a physical form or digital form, whatever. But especially like if they're just doing what they were going to do, whether or not you were there, that's cool. Like there's something to, I don't know how many people you've had reach out to you for like, I want a specific shoot for this reason that's important to me. Like not a wedding, not an engagement, not like a baby or whatever, but like something is important to them and they want to have photos from that moment as like a memoir for themselves. That versus something where they're just doing what they do. They're both completely different, but they share that same sentiment of like, this is really special for that person. It's such a cool thing that photography is.
Well, even like, I think, again, because like I shoot, if you like look at my feed, it's a lot of women. And I didn't like, other than like
Jordan Powers.
who like the funny thing is like, this is all film. Whenever I buy a new film camera, I say, hey Jordan, I bought a film camera. I'll buy you a beer. Let's go take photos with it. Because I test every camera I buy.
Looks like he's Sam Kohler's.
I didn't realize those were all film, but those look awesome. And they still look like your other photos. Like they all have a familiar edit. How do you get them into Lightroom? Or do you?
Those are unedited.
Those are unedited. So how do you digitize them? Do
London
you do it? Or
Drugs.
do they send them
Drugs. London Drugs does it for you.
in? Oh, sweet. Okay.
And like even like these are film. This is film. Unedited.
It still feels familiar though to your other shots. Like I know not all of them are film, but a lot of them are.
Again,
But
it's
do
the
you
focal
choose like specific films to achieve some of this stuff? Because like it looks like there's green
Fujifilm
blending
is very
into
green.
some of the blacks.
So like film is like a preset. So each film is made differently and has different colors. So Kodak is very like orange and red, and so it's known a lot with portraits, like Portra 400. So you'll even see like a lot of YouTubers or like people who make editing videos be like, this edit is like Portra. It's because Portra is so well known for its skin tones, and Fujifilm is meant for landscapes, but you can only buy two types of film in Kelowna: Kodak Gold and Fujifilm.
And that's just what's locally available, but you could order in if you needed.
I just ordered 10 rolls of Portra 400 from Toronto.
So as a hobby, this sounds pretty expensive to get into, but if you are able to make it worthwhile.
I mean, it's whatever makes you happy, right? Like, I don't spend my money on a lot of different things. Like, I spend my money on photography and clothes because I mostly buy local stuff. Like, I have a shirt underneath a sweater from Okanagan Valley, right? Like, it's like shopping local. I'd rather shop locally, spend maybe a little more money, but it's long-term clothes. It's not the fast fashion. Like, do you know, like, this sweater? Like, I love NASCAR. And so this sweater is actually from a movie, Days of Thunder, with Tom Cruise. And so it has, like, all the actual sponsors. So it's like a fun shirt that like I grew up watching NASCAR with my dad. I still do. Am I the biggest NASCAR fan? Probably not. But it's still like, it's cool. And even him, like when he saw it, he's like, "You bastard," because he like it's something we've grown up like I've grown up watching with him. But yeah, it's just like, and now, especially I think in the past year, I've really just tried doing like sets and stories, and like that's my goal with any photo shoot. Even if the photo shoot's just like walking downtown, I want to create like a cool set. So like something I planned. This is probably one of my favorite photos I have ever taken. Cause like I set everything out and moved everything, and planned it.
It kind of looks like thought bubbles, like he's dreaming about all this picnic stuff. It kind of looks like picnic stuff to me from here.
Oh, it is. It is. For me, like in high school, I had depression. So mental health is a very big issue for me, and like something I take a lot of like, pride is the wrong word. I take a lot of accountability for my own mental health and where I need to be, and that's why I stopped shooting. And so like I wanted to create like a day of like for yourself kind of thing. And so I did a whole photo shoot all in my backyard. And it's just a day for yourself.
Me time.
And like that's a 5-minute walk from my house.
I'm gonna start looking at your feed differently now, from like this new context of how to look at it. This is like so cool. And I don't know if you've been writing about this. I'm horrible for like flipping right past captions, because more often than not, my feed is full of captions that someone edited and re-edited and rewrote.
I did for
and
this.
I thought it all out so much, and it's to get someone to do something. And I'm like, fuck that. Next. So I don't read them very much.
I did for this one, and that's the exact reason why I stick to one word or songs. Like if I feel a song goes with a picture, I post like the caption or the title of the song with the photo. So what was this one? Yeah, House of the Rising Sun. So I just pictured House of the Rising Sun playing.
Shout out to Aiden, by the way.
Yeah, Aiden's dope. Like he's like, I want to do a skateboarding shoot. And so this car is out by my work, and it sits there every day. No one's touched it for probably a year.
It's a pretty cool looking car.
It's literally in probably one of the most weirdest and rundown spots in Kelowna. Do you know Blue Heights?
No.
Do you know Blue Heights?
No.
You know McCurdy Bowling Alley?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like the crappy old blue buildings on the other side?
Oh, yeah.
That was shot there.
Oh, damn. Okay, we did a shoot right across the street from there, like across the street from the bowling alley, for like a short film over in that direction. That's actually where I used to go and get my used tires from. It's a cool place.
But even like with the Revelstoke stuff, like I wanted to, like you create like a day, like a cohesive day.
And where did you get this idea to shoot a day, or like is this like your concept, or did someone else kind of inspire you to give this a go?
For me, I hate the idea of a filtered feed. I hate the idea of shooting, like, not trends, but like I don't go out of my way to shoot something to get likes. I will shoot whatever the fuck I want, however the fuck I want, and I'll post whatever I want. In essence, in the sense, I still ask the model. Like, I'll ask the model every time before I post. But it's still the same shoot that we worked on. I don't shoot to get likes. I shoot to be happy and because I like the photo shoot.
It's like your trophy room.
And even
Other people,
it's
for you.
well, for me, it's like it's more my happiness.
Yeah.
I love shooting, and again, like I was a pretty quiet, like high school wasn't the best time. I wasn't a social kid. I hate people. I always say that, and people laugh. But I hate when you walk into a party or walk into a place with more than 10 people, because I hate having no depth in a conversation.
Superficial.
Yes. And so for me, like a photo shoot, like you are hanging out with someone for 2 hours. You get to talk with someone for 2 hours. That's probably one of my favorite things. Is like, it's not even the shoot. Like photography found me because of university, and I think I've gotten like really good at it. I'm still not the best. Like you'll never be. If you think you're the best, you're.
You haven't met someone yet.
Got a long ways to go. Yeah, exactly. Like if you don't think you can learn anything, then something ain't kicking right. Because that's part of the reason why I created the group. Because I knew there were people better at certain things than I was. And so, like for me, like I shoot just to be happy. And I love like the social aspect of it, and I think like to capture cool moments is just like a bonus. It's like a trophy in a sense. Like I think like the time you have like actually creating the story and thinking about the story, and like then you shoot and you get to hang out with someone, and like you have to be in that conversation. And then after it, the reward is the photo.
It's funny because there's different ways of expressing how important it is to feel like you were present at an experience with other people and you were all enjoying it. I had one friend of mine describe why or how they say yes to gigs pre-COVID. And I'm going to remember this badly, but I think there was 3 things, and it had to be at least 2 of them. It had to either, there was like pay well, be a good hang, and I think it was like
Something new.
beneficial for like their image as a band. If it checked out 2 of those, they would do it. If it only checked out 1, it's like, not good enough. Something like that. But like, imagine like not being paid at all, but it was good for your image and it was a great hangout.
Well, I don't get
why
paid.
not? Of course, that sounds amazing. Like if you can shoot with someone next to someone who's maybe like 30 years your senior as a photographer and has a similar values, but maybe much more like worked out, and they're just a cool person. It's a great experience, but you kind of have to get yourself there and get yourself back. Like, as long as there's nothing conflicting with that's like super important, like that sounds amazing.
Yeah, like for me, like for a shoot to work out, like I think for me, like I have this idea of a triangle, and the triangle is 3 aspects. There's me or any photographer. The other aspect is the model or product, whatever you're shooting, and then there's the audience. And if one of those things doesn't like the photo, I always thought at first there wasn't a reason for taking the photo. I'd take a photo no matter what because I love it, but you also have to make sure the model likes it, because I won't post anything that someone doesn't like. Or I'll show someone during a shoot of a certain shot, and then maybe we have to change it because they don't like a certain aspect of the photo. And then I think people appreciate the photos that people appreciate. This is confusing as hell. People love the photos that you appreciate. because they aren't looking at the photo anymore. They're looking at your art.
I like that idea of like doing something that you like, not because someone else wants you to do it. Like you were talking about, like, don't wear clothes that are trendy, wear clothes that you like.
Dude, I look like I'm a 1980s dad most of the time.
But if you take that idea,
Dad bod included.
if you take that idea, and no, you look great, by the way. I think that's a pretty sweet looking shirt, especially like the patches and everything. I think that looks cool.
Oh, I love this shirt.
But if you take that idea though, and like you move it over to photography or music or drawing
Take it
or
to anything
really, if you do what you like, people who like what you like will be gravitated towards you, and you kind of can leave out a lot of those superficial, annoying, boring, or soul-sucking conversations you never really wanted to have in the beginning, which is pretty cool. Like if you do what you like to do, then the people you hang out with and who come to you are people you wanted to talk with anyways.
Well, that's also, it's about life too. Like if you do what you love and stick around the things you love, then the aspect of that will attract the people that need to be attracted into your life. You can't go chasing anything. If you chase something or worry about something that's out of your control, then you're just going to drain yourself out, which I have. I've completely have in my past. But now I'm just like, if something doesn't work out, there's always tomorrow. And everything works out how it's supposed to. Like, so if someone like says they can't do a shoot, fine with me. I'll go take my film camera out and spend an afternoon shooting film by myself.
I definitely struggle shooting without someone in front of it. I don't know how to shoot landscape very well.
Well, have you seen my camera roll? Do you see a landscape like other than the actual trip to Revelstoke? Portraits are very much in my life, but again, that's the social aspect. And like you look, I made landscapes a social thing.
Just like one.
There's some waterfall and trees there, yeah.
But I also went with 5 of my friends.
Yeah.
And you like.
But again, that's that quality time doing a road trip with somebody.
Oh yeah.
Is you get
and
way
staying
more
at the
out of it.
motel and then
Yeah.
getting. We got gift vouchers to the restaurants they owned, and it was an amazing time. Because it's about the memory, and then you take a photo of 2 of your favorite people, and then they see the photo and they love it.
That's always a really fun feeling. When you take a photo and no one else knows, like, what are they looking at through that stupid little black box in front of their face? And then they turn it around and show you. That's a cool thing about digital.
Well, they don't even know I'm
Is
taking
that-
a photo. Dana and Schwebar.
I couldn't tell that was Philippe from here. I'm looking like at a ring light.
But yeah,
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Roxy, that's in
Revelstoke. That's their movie theater.
Oh, it's the movie theater.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The one time I spent any length of time in Revelstoke, like walking around, we were at the last drop for a band. Actually, they were doing a show there, and we were using part of the footage from that for a music video. I was really sick that weekend too. Did not enjoy that night. It was a struggle all the way through. It's like I feel so nauseous. I just want to go back to bed. But yeah, it's a cool place. Like Revelstoke has got a lot going for it. It's a cool vibe, and it's actually pretty small.
Well,
which is really neat.
That's one
It's
of the
like a little
reasons
gem.
why they wanted people that they do that. I don't know if they still do it through the hotel, but like I've had a wonderful conversations with the social media representation for the motel, and that's how I got like info on the place and everything. That's why they wanted these photographers and people to make the videos, is because people, like, if you think about, not a lot of people actually stay in Revelstoke. It's not a place where you're just like, oh, let's go visit. So like, it's changed my aspect on Revelstoke, like staying there, like the different waterfalls, the different even like this, like the Sunday, or was it Saturday or Sunday, like local fair, like you have I don't drink too much, but they have a distillery in Revelstoke, and they make really good gin. Had too much gin last time I was there. But the owner of the place who makes the gin, Amanashi, was at the farmer's market selling the product.
Selling gin at a farmer's market? That'd be so great. Just like stock up a bag full of apples, turn around, grab some pears, turn around, grab some spices,
though, right?
turn around, throw in some gin.
Revelstoke is you walk 2 streets you've seen downtown, but everything is local, and that's why I like the food. Don't get me wrong, Cactus Club, I know what I'm getting every time. But when you go to a local place, now local places here for me, I know what I'm getting because I go to B&A before COVID, I went twice every week. So but again, it's different food. It's their own creations.
It's a chef who's in the back and has a personality, and they have a palette, and they're going to create the menu around that palette, and no other chef is that chef.
Yeah.
And no other restaurant is that restaurant, and there's less than 20 people that have an influence on how that restaurant is. There's no franchise. It's got its own flavor. I think that's a lot of the secret sauce in the hole in the wall restaurants. Is they have a certain flavor, certain essence to them that is 100% curated by the people who built it and managed it. Yes, it's authentic.
Yeah.
It's like you when you go to a place that Kyle owns, like B&A, Skinny Dukes, now Doc Willoughby's.
Yeah, they recently bought them.
Yeah.
Was that 2 weeks ago?
A month ago.
Month ago? Okay.
Yeah. And you know what you're getting, but it's that family. It's Carolyn and Kyle's thing.
They're picking out all the good spots too. Those are all really good spots for them to be buying.
Oh yeah, the Skinny Duke's pizza's great. The chicken parmesan at B&A. Oh.
Gotta go back to B&A again.
Either way this goes, can we get some after? Did you stay in Three Valley Gap at all?
No, so we try to go weekends because like I said, I work full time.
Yeah.
Weekends are my golden time to shoot, and so usually there are certain things we want to see. Last time we wanted to see the festival at Revelstoke Mountain, but you needed to pay and we didn't know that. And also shooting with Noah, no matter if he's the head cinematographer or not, likes to wake up early. We always got to see a sunrise with Noah, and I'm not complaining. But so you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, and so also when you're shooting for a company, you want to create capture a certain lifestyle. You want to show off the waterfalls, but you also want to show off the local goods, right? You want it to make Revelstoke look approachable. So you need to have that balance.
I think it's a nice way to keep yourself in check too, without going too crazy to the Nat Geo side, or too crazy to the urban.
That's what I like about the Revelstoke weekends. It's pretty much just getting a group of friends. Because the first time I had 7 friends come with me. This time I think there was 5 or 6. And it's not, we have to shoot this. And it's never about that for me. Not even on a photo shoot. Some people actually hate it. Not hate it, but they have this expectation that a photographer will be stand here, do this. I'm not. I'm from the very beginning, it's a free shoot. It's a collaborative shoot. What do you want? Because sometimes they don't get asked that. And some of the shoots that I've done I love the idea and I put my own aspect on it, but some of it's the model's ideas. The model wanted to do it. And again, to get a really good shoot, to have the model's perspective and what the model wants, you're going to get the most comfortable person. That person's going to be the most comfortable because I don't tell them what to wear. I'll give suggestions, or they can bring a bunch of their clothes that they want to wear, and I'll like throw in my suggestion. But it's whatever they feel most comfortable in the situation that they've helped build. And so you get really good images because you're creating an environment where people want to create.
That's a really good way to look at it. And that described in that way feels so disarming. Like if anyone was nervous about doing a shoot and they really wanted to shoot with you and that was communicated to them, like they knew you're not going to impose any kind of, we have to get these shots. And it's going to be very natural. It's going to be very organic with what things come up. To some people that might be kind of scary because it's kind of unknown.
Well, sometimes
But
like if
in the
someone
moment,
doesn't
it kind of
know,
makes sense.
someone that doesn't know what they want to shoot, like Pinterest is my time enemy. I have a lot of Pinterest boards, and so like I always have like ideas, and so I'll suggest stuff. But one of the shoots I did like 2 weeks ago, one of the models suggested, let's do hitchhiker. That's the only word she gave me. And so my immediate thought on hitchhiker was, I love literature. Like, I also have a massive book collection. There's an author, Jack Kerouac, wrote On the Road. So like the idea, also like she wanted a friend to like shoot with us, which was great because the more comfortable and like the more people, the more fun. But my immediate thought was like Thelma Louise, On the Road, like they have no home. They're trying to like, they're just living in the moment no matter where that moment is. And I haven't posted any of it, but they've been, and so it's very much like just, it was originally like the model's idea to do like hitchhiker, like on like, and I like added On the Road, and we made it very much like almost like a travel story.
That's so cool.
I guess it makes like a character and persona that they can get into as well too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it gets creativity flowing, I think, by allowing.
Because in a sense, like they've suggested they've given me one word, and I think they have an idea that they want to emulate, in a sense, that character or that situation, and they're comfortable creating it. And so like you create like cool, like they shared some of the same photos, but it's just like story, right?
Yeah.
That's such a cool vibe. Like the photos themselves have such a cool vibe to them. It's got like that, not pastel, but like faded pastel look of like some older cars that have like that, like kind of faded green on them.
Yes, the shadows and the highlights.
Yeah, like, I like the
works.
look of them, but also like the overall theme, like the story that goes along through them. It's very easy to follow. Like I like it, and they're great photos too. That's awesome.
Well, even just you want to go shoot downtown, bring a vibe, and we'll just like that's shot at Parkgate. Doesn't matter where you shoot.
That is a thing that escapes a lot of people who haven't been on a shoot before or seen photos of themselves taken by someone who knows how to compose a shot, is that you can make one place look nothing like what it is, or you can take one place and make it look like another place depending on how you frame it. It's a really fun art form, even just determining where you're going to shoot from, and if it's going to be a 35 or a 50 or an 85 or a 200 or a 10 or whatever kind of lens you're going to throw in front of whatever kind of body you're shooting with. Like that's a fun art form, and it's really exciting to see all those variables come together and then to show the subject, hey, this is you in this context and this lighting on that day with my fingerprint applied to it for how it should look. Mm-hmm. And here you go. It's a really cool feeling to see all that stuff come together and watch their expression or hear how they respond to it.
Even this, one of my friends, like we've shot a few times now, she really enjoys just taking her own photos, even with her phone, and like kind of like uses a lot of the Instagram edits, but she also wants to learn how to edit. and she really liked an Instagram filter, and she loved how it looked on the photos. Oh, I hate technology, man. And so what I did.
How many film cameras do you have again?
I'm going back in time.
Take me back 30 years.
I'm going
60 years.
But she showed me the edit, and I'm like, send me that edit. And so I took an Instagram edit and made it my own.
That's your edit?
That's my edit. Based on the filter she gave me.
It's cool to look at a photo and to try and pick out from it what's its essence.
I'm going to see if I can find... Like, yeah, she went with her own... Like, I went with the same kind of tones, but with my appearance, right? So, like, this is very, like this one is a little more orange. But same colors with the the pants and the blues. But to fit mine...
Yeah, you've got a bit more green in yours. A little bit, but like the oranges, skin tones look really similar.
Mine are 35, right? Whereas hers are taken on a phone.
Right.
It's very close up, but just like...
So yours a film?
No.
Or those are digital?
That's digital.
Okay. Man, you're really making me realize like those lines are blurred. A lot more blurred than I thought. Like the look between a film photo and a digital photo that's been... adjusted to make it look like a film photo or vice versa.
I didn't even mean to make my edits more film-like. I think I just appreciated what the film did. And so I kind of put a little aspects of that. But again, like this is unedited. That's a film photo.
Yeah, it's no wonder people like film photos. Like just looking at like highlights and shadows and how they all play together, like they've got differences in them that a film, maybe digital camera couldn't deal with.
That's a Rolleiflex.
That's cool.
That's Wall's Flex.
Wall flex, right?
But that's a TLR.
So that's the one you're talking about, then.
Yeah, the top lens is the viewing lens.
Mm-hmm.
So what Jordan's looking down at is the first lens, and then what takes the image is the bottom one.
Is that the bird sanctuary?
Yeah.
Recognize the handrails.
And then I did the all film photo shoot with Corey.
I haven't seen that guy for a long time. A few years.
But yeah, no, like film is... It's just... Like I took this photo's taken with a 65-year-old lens.
Where do you find your lenses?
I got guys.
A few eBays, a few buy and sell marketplace.
I actually do have a couple
shops.
people I talk with and trade with. That's actually a 1950s Leica lens.
Oh, okay. It's got some background to it.
Yeah. I have a camera. I hate it. I actually do not like the usage of it. But it's based off of a Leica body. People actually complained to we're like, how is this company able to make this camera? Because it was so similar to Leica. And it's because of World War II and the reparations of Germany's reparations towards Russia. Leica had to give up their optics, like some of their optic planning and the camera plans. And so that's why that camera was being able to be made, was because of World War II and reparations. So I'm just going to keep that camera because it's pretty cool.
That's interesting. I'm always curious to hear about how some of those places or some of those companies and things and stuff get moved around or stolen or copied or inspired off of or whatever. Like it's always interesting backgrounds to hear how do things get started. Like there's a few car companies that got started because of huge economic crises.
Well, even just
Mazda was born out of World War II.
Well, and then also what I think was it Dodge? I think the Dodge the two guys that started Dodge worked at Ford. And they just wanted to create their own company. It's just the history of certain things are so cool. I don't know if it's Yashica is another film camera company. They make some of the closest TLRs to Rolleiflex, which is like the best TLRs that were ever made. And they started making cameras because of international prices of shipping certain lenses or lens objects were so much because of tariffs or whatever. I don't know the exact story, but they realized that they could make optics through cameras and there were no tariffs on certain products. And so they could transport it and not pay so much money.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Yashica, but I know I watch too many YouTube videos on film stuff. But yeah, it's just cool stories on why things were started and created.
It's really interesting stuff. I've heard of, like, there's similar rules to at least I heard anyways. I never actually looked into it, but I heard that was the reason why a lot of cameras would stop at like 30 minutes. Like photo cameras, like if you shot a video on them, it would stop at 30 minutes because past that, if they wouldn't stop ever, that'd make them a video camera and that like change the classification of them.
That
I heard that was, I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that was the story for that. But yeah, like to get around that rule and make them cheaper to ship across borders, they made this modification. That was just like the standard way to do it.
People still do that on different objects nowadays.
Yeah, it's still done. It's skirting around the rules is not new at all.
No.
So if we make a rule, okay, we go around it.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, and for me, like, some people are like, do you still shoot digital? I'm like, most of the photos I shoot are digital. Like, I just sent 100 and some photos to a client.
Well, it's kind of hard to shoot a few thousand photos in film without
for me,
like a
it's for fun.
backpack of film.
Like, if I don't want to edit, like, I love editing, but sometimes it can be too much. And so if I don't want to edit, I'll just go out and shoot film. I just send it in, it gets developed, and I get it.
That's a cool way to look at it.
Shane, one of his better buddies in Victoria, bought a film camera, and they shot together. And he gives me a hard time about film cameras. And then he was just like, Mitch, I think I want a film camera. And so he just bought a film camera and shot his first roll. He's like, yeah, I'm addicted. It's a feeling. You look at photography completely different. From the way you shoot, from the types of shots you take. For me, also film, you're way more in the moment than you are with digital. Because digital, not even just like looking in the back and taking a million photos, it's the idea that like I can edit this, like there needs to be a certain way of this. Film, it's very much like you're there in the moment and you're just capturing the moment. You're not capturing a photo.
I wonder if there's a different way that people who grew up with nothing but film look at digital cameras versus us who have grown up looking at or using digital cameras and they're now being reintroduced back to film. It's like, it's different because it's the same tools. But if your familiarity is, I can shoot as many as I need to and delete them on the spot, and then learning how to make every moment count, that's a shift of mindset. If you grew up where every single moment is going to cost you and you're not going to see it for a while and it might be blown out, you might have run out of film, maybe something happened, maybe there's something in the lens you don't know,
but again,
and all of a sudden the world is open up. You can take all those photos that you had to restrain yourself from because you didn't have enough film. It's a different way to look at it.
Watch someone develop film in the film lab. Because film is not just not edited. I don't edit my film. Because it's an enjoyable feature of photography for me. I don't need to edit them. People dodge and burn. People have dodged and burned photos since the 1930s. Or when did Ansel Adams start shooting? I don't even remember when Ansel Adams started shooting. But Ansel Adams, you can dodge and burn film photos, and add more light just by processing it differently, holding a piece of paper over a certain part of the film because a certain amount of light is hitting the film where that aspect is not.
What?
Yeah, you can dodge and burn film.
Okay, I feel like such
So-
an idiot.
so-
I've never heard of any of this.
So like it's not dodge and burning like how you would see in like where you like remove things. It's the aspect of adding and decreasing light, and I think you could actually, I don't know, I'm still getting into film. Like film for me is, I have a lot of cameras, yes, but I'm still like learning a lot about it. And so like you can edit film photos like they always have. It's all about the developing of that film photo.
That's an interesting way to think about it. I never thought about it like that before. I always thought it was like what you shot is what you get. That's it.
No, even cropping a photo, you're editing it, right? Are you not?
Yeah, that's true.
So if you take a film photo and you crop out a part of it, and then you've edited the image.
So there is no unedited.
It's
always, this is how it was interpreted.
Well,
I mean, unedited is standing there looking at it.
It's not even how it was interpreted. It's how the beholder interprets the image. Wants the audience to interpret the image.
There's a whole philosophical side to this.
You can also talk about the news with this.
Yeah, next time.
No, I'm just saying like that. That's the idea. Like what you are seeing in an image is not the whole picture.
I suppose that's been a complaint with 360 photos, is that some people don't like them at all because I didn't want to show you everything. I wanted to show you this, just this angle, from this perspective. I didn't want you to be able to look around at everything that's here because that's not part of the message that I'm trying to capture in this moment. Which is one perspective. I think that's fair.
Where is this image that I took?
I think it's interesting that the discipline of like shooting film, slowing down that kind of more archaic form, you're more intentional about your shot just by nature because you know that you have to be.
Turn off your noise gate. It's bugging me.
So it's just kind of interesting to hear that, I think, with film from shooting digital solely. And my dad had a film camera and stuff. We grew up with it, but weren't allowed to touch it because we opened the back and ruined the film. So it's just neat to hear the varying differences of like film in a digital world.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. But like for me, like talking about spatial recognition, where do you think that photo was taken?
It looks like it's on grass, but that's all I got. My guess is somewhere bright, either like an open area or there was stuff to reflect light off of.
That photo was taken on the grass beside the washroom in City Park. Taken around probably 50 people in not the most desirable area. So like you can create art no matter where it is if it's composed correctly.
But it's like what you were saying too, seeing somebody with their fingerprint on their image of themselves. Like you tell them where that was taken, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, you don't think of the photo as such a high quality almost because it's like of where it's taken. It almost seems like it's like, oh, what?
Well, I mean,
So it's like a double
I think it's the idea that like when someone's just like, oh, that's taken there, because people think they need a whole lot of stuff. Most of my photos, I think like 95% of my photos, natural light. Don't use ring lights. Don't use studio lights. And you can shoot wherever you want. Like if you compose an image, like I don't want to say correctly, but like maneuver the obstacles in front of you, and you can shoot an image wherever.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
I was scared of studio lights for a long time because I didn't know how they behaved. I didn't look at a scene that had them very much. I looked at natural light way more often, like getting some food, walking somewhere, being outside, being inside, whatever. The natural light is what you saw all the time, and I was way more used to that than seeing something lit in a way that I had lit it. And it scared me to give it a try. And now I feel like I've gone the other way, where I've shot so much with lights or a manipulated scene, especially doing like shooting like video, where we're very often manipulating the scene by like putting some kind of filter over like a window to kind of dull it down a little bit, but like a little bit, throwing a light at a wall to kind of lift the overall room ambience a little bit, because we can't Photoshop video nearly as easily as photos. So it's way easier to just get it right then and there. And so we have like this specific thing we want that we have in our heads, like this is the way that we want it, looking at the frame thinking, I gotta add a little bit here, kind of remove a little bit there, kind of modify that, kind of modify that. And now it's hard for me to allow myself to just shoot with what's there and to maneuver what's in front of me versus alter it. So now I feel like I have to step backwards to be more like my former self.
How much, by what stop do you think is manipulating a photo with exposure?
How do you mean?
Like, is there a certain range you think you need to be in to think you've captured the right image?
I don't know how to answer that. That's so broad. Like, there's so many ways that something is.
Well, you're
it's not wrong. You're talking
about editing light and talking about manipulating light, and most of it, what I do is shoot natural light.
Well, I suppose I could do something as simple. I think this might be answering you. I could do something as simple as looking up at the sky, observing that it's a cloudy day and it's windy, but it's like scattered clouds. Have my shot ready to take. Wait for that cloud to cross in front of the sky, give me soft light, take the shot, and then it passes away, and now I've maneuvered the lighting situation that was in front of me. That could be one way to do that.
Yeah, well, for me, I try to stay within the range of, if I can get to a point, like I'm talking about Lightroom, like moving the exposure.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. For me, I try to stay within the most I have to do is by one stop.
Yeah, I don't like going more than one. Like on just the exposure slider, more than one in either direction, something's wrong. Or I'm not even trying to make it look like natural light anymore. It's an intentional artistic decision at that point. But if it's more than a stop, I've fucked up.
Yeah, I think the most I've ever had to do is 1.5, and it was me shooting inside because I don't shoot inside a whole lot. And it was just like a living room scene, and I needed to bump it up. But I try to stay with 0.5. And for me, I think if you're in with one stop of light, even editing it, I think you know what's going on. If you're at 3, might need to reevaluate how you see light.
And a lot of those changes that
unless
I make,
unless it needs it, or you are doing it for intentional purposes.
Some of the changes that I make in Lightroom, I know where I'm looking in the photo to observe the change as I'm looking at A versus B. But if you didn't know where to look, you probably wouldn't notice, because quite often it's like that. They're 5% or less. If you change it by 5%, it's kind of imperceptible. But you add enough 5% changes and it goes from edited to unedited, or vice versa, or whatever. But that's a thought I never really voiced out loud. Yeah. It's at what point is it edited and what point is it, no, this is still close enough that it's as is.
I have no photos other than my film that are unedited. And it's not because I don't think that the photo was terrible. I just know that you can manipulate a photo to make it more of what you wanted, or brings out the colors that you saw. Because again, every photo you take in a camera is already edited.
Right. It's been edited through optics, through framing, through composition, through timing, through all kinds of stuff.
Through the software?
It's not through the software.
Because each camera has its own. What is it? Canon has Adobe color, not Adobe. Canon. Well, even if you put a photo, like Canon has its own skin tones. Sony has its own skin tones. Even before you start editing in Lightroom's already put an edit on it.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, Adobe Color or something?
I don't think it's called Adobe Color. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I know that you do need to de-Bayer it. Because apparently every pixel will have twice as many greens as reds or blues. Because we're not nearly as sensitive. Our eyes are not nearly as sensitive to green light as it is to red or to blue. Like in the dark, everything looks blue because of like the wavelengths of what blue light is. So like we just nighttime looks blue, but it's still the same color. But we're just more sensitive at like lower levels to blue. Green light we're not nearly as sensitive to. So to make a picture look like our eyes see it in real life, you need to have twice as many green pixels. And so that 4 grid of like red, blue, green, that needs to be interpreted by the software based on what camera shot it. And that interpretation is going to be different for whoever makes the camera.
But again, going back to the perspective of the beholder and the photo taker and the model or product, it doesn't really matter because it's what you want it to be. Like if someone is learning how to do photography and over edits a photo, we've all been there.
Yep.
Who's used the saturation bar and gone all the way over?
This looks so good. Oh my God, look at the colors.
Look at the colors. Oh my goodness. Right? Like, it's whatever you want it to be. And it's taken a lot of tools and within Lightroom, learning different things. And so if a photo is edited, it's not a problem. Because it's your, even if you use a preset, you'll have to change that preset to make it what you want it to be for that photo. You're not just going to, well, maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you just slap it on.
I hope not, but okay.
But no, again, it's whatever the person wants to be. Maybe they don't know how to edit. Maybe they just think it looks really cool and this helps. But they have made a really amazing image on their iPhone. It doesn't really matter what camera you have. If you want to shoot and create art, create whatever you want with whatever you have. Because it's what you want to do. It makes you happy.
Some people get upset about how much better phone cameras are getting versus pro cameras. I think it's great because it's just making it easier and easier for someone to discover that this is really fun and to lean into it, and they can still use the tool they already have.
The phone camera is the threshold for photography. Is it bad? No. Can you do food photography? Can a blogger do all of their images on their phone? Yeah. But I think with digital cameras, you get the control of the image. So with a iPhone, you get a lot of. You can just get an image, a good, decent image, just straight away. But to control an image, to change everything about an image, the f-stop. What f-stop are you shooting at? Or do you want to go wide open, or you want to go halfway? Do you want to go f22? I had the issue of where I just shot as low as I could all the time. And I still shoot at 1.4 sometimes.
It's the saturation bar. Everyone wants to have everything blurred out.
Everyone wants to have all the bokeh.
Because
all
we
of the
can.
bokeh, because we can. And again, sometimes I like it, especially shooting downtown, because it takes away from a lot of distraction. And especially with portraits, it's fun because it's slower. You focus on the eye. It's good. But I started shooting 2 people in an image. And so f8, f4 to f8. I was actually talking to someone about this today. Is a really cool, nice f-stop. And now I'm sounding like a real nerd. Like if I haven't
keep
passed
going.
that point, no. But like if you wanna shoot at 1.4, go for it. Like it helps with distractions. It helps with depth with an image. But with the photos I took of like the on the road series, like you shoot at like f5.6 to f8, and you get all that depth and like the story and everyone's in focus and it just looks clean. There's something about it, right? But like that's what you get with digital cameras is the control. Like you choose. You don't just hit portrait mode on your phone and it creates. But what people think is like, oh, that's really cool bokeh. It's digitally created bokeh.
Right, it's not pleasing.
Well, it's not even the fact it's not pleasing. It's not actual bokeh based on the f-stop you have chosen on your camera. So like for whoever doesn't know what bokeh and f-stops are, like if you're shooting very low, like 1.4, 1.2, which most professional cameras will go to, the lower the number, the more bokeh you get. The higher the number, the more the photo is is in focus. But you're letting in the least amount of light, so you'll have to shoot at a lower shutter speed. So like it all depends on the situation. Like if you're shooting a little later, you might want that low aperture just for the light. But again, like some people don't even shoot at certain times of the day. I shoot whenever. I don't care. I just want to create. People's schedules aren't based all around one person. So if someone wants to shoot at 12 o'clock in the afternoon in the harshest light, let's go. Let's do it. Maybe not like one time I did last year. It was, I think, 39 degrees. I did not choose the time. The model did. And she was just like sweating and like her makeup was like near the end. And it was just like, yeah, we can't shoot anymore. But like, so like there are certain times you shouldn't shoot.
Unless that's what you're trying to go for. Unless you really want, we want that reflective skin, and we don't want to use any kind of oil or like body lotion or anything. We're just going to have you stand in the sun until you're sweating. Once you're nice and just dripping, then we'll go.
Get the glycerin.
get the gleam off your brow.
No, but like, yeah, so like for me, like it's like if you want to shoot at 5 a.m. like Noah does,
I've been there. That is actually fun.
It's fun.
It's really fun because I really enjoy the dumb time, stupid o'clock as I call it. I like to shoot at stupid o'clock because there's no other thing distracting you from that moment. For the first little bit, you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then after a while, you start to see some cool results, and it's easy to lean in and enjoy it because there is nothing else to do at that time. Except for sleep, but obviously where you are, you're probably not going to be falling asleep right then and there. So it's kind of like a way of like bringing me and everyone else there like into the moment. Is that a 5 a.m. shot?
That is a sunrise shot in Revelstoke. That's Noah on top of a train car.
It's Noah, and I bet he chose the time.
Where have you guys been?
I've been here since 4.
Should have seen it.
But again, that's because of the morning fog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where's another one from Revelstoke?
Well, I find that with like workflow at night. You don't get
Even
as many
sunrise in Joshua Tree.
That's sweet.
But again, like you heard so many coyotes, you just woke up at that time. I didn't choose to wake up at 5.
But I think it's those times where there is nothing else going on. You don't have the notifications on the phone or this, that, and the other thing, that you get more concentrated vision, I think, because you're not taken away from every other thing that pulls your attention.
Yeah, I like early mornings for that reason and late nights.
Yeah.
The middle of the day is like my least favorite time of day. And unfortunately, that's when everything happens. Otherwise, if I had my druthers, I'd be napping from like 12 until 3 every day.
Well, I mean,
that'd be awesome.
I mean, someone who likes natural light, nighttime ain't the greatest time. But like for like editing, even like I'll just work whenever, right? But like some of my favorite moments is the sunrise at like 6 a.m. where like some people on the trip were not even up yet. Noah drags you on a adventure, and it's just like you get cool because no one else is there, right?
I had an idea earlier today about all of these podcast episodes that I've been doing. They've all been like indoors, sitting at a table and hanging out. But I had an idea about what if we did like this again on location at 5 a.m. or wherever it is, whatever time. I don't care. 7 at night, 12 at night. I don't care. But what if we did this again? Same idea, but like we're actually shooting while we did it. How fun would that be?
It'd be pretty fun. Like have like a vlog series.
Like this has been streaming this whole time.
We're
We're almost at 2 hours, by the way.
I know.
We could probably stop this pretty soon, but I just like the idea of like these kind of long form conversations. Honestly, I told a few people, this is just my excuse to hang out with people. That's all this is. And I love it. Like you were talking about how you hate going like to large gatherings because you look around and you think,
which is funny.
There's no way I can get
a large gathering. But
I was thinking about that when you said that. But in that midst of that large gathering, you have all these in-depth conversations. So you're not losing out on the thing that you didn't like them for.
But you're also talking about the thing you love and with people that also love it. Where for me, like if you go to a bar and you see someone and they may or may not mostly are intoxicated, the conversation is not great. So like when you're like in a group like Cameras and Coffee, it's really cool because you may help someone or they may help you, but then also you're just like talking about the thing you love.
And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing bad about that. Like that just sounds to me like one of the greatest things ever. I love just hanging out with people
I chose coffee because I'm addicted. I'll drink coffee at the Corral at 1 a.m.
I used to be more of a snob than I am now, and then I started doing more and more long editing stints at home. I went down to the coffee maker and I was like, oh, it's empty. I'm not going to grind more beans. I'm just going to pour more water in the back. It's like my threshold for what qualifies as coffee has just plummeted over the last year, ever since working from home since last year.
I mean, like, I think coffee, like any, like, coffee, beer, food, like a meetup, I think it's more than what the actual thing says. Like, it's not just the coffee. It's who you're going to go have coffee with. What are you doing? Like, I like the experience of coffee probably more. I'm addicted, but like the experience of coffee compared to just what you're drinking. I think it doesn't really matter what you're like the quality of coffee. It's nice to have a good cup of joe, but like I've had some pretty crappy coffee. But then I've also had coffee in a square in Leeuwarden in Old Town Layout, which is a city in the Netherlands. If I said Holland, they'd probably murder me because
there's not all of it. Like the Netherlands provinces. Includes all of it, but Holland is just a province.
Yeah, they're North and South Holland. I think North and South. Yeah, something like that. There's provinces. They're not. Most people just think it's the whole. And it ain't. But like you can have like a really nice espresso in one of the most beautiful places in like a historic area. But it's like it's just what is brought upon because of the coffee or the food. You could probably have how many, like I love Denenzi's pizza, but is it like the 5-star Italian, like prepped for hours kind of pizza with like all of the most freshest, like the freshest ingredients? Probably not. I love Denenzi's. Do not get me wrong. How many nights and how many good memories do you have of going to Denenzi's at 2 a.m. with your friends?
Oh, yeah. I've got a few.
Right? So it's not about what you have in that moment. It's about what goes along with it.
That's about the moment.
And I think that's also what it kind of goes back to photography. It doesn't matter what kind of image you take, what with what. It's the existence of the Revelstoke trip.
It's the
Like
quality
you look
time. It's the experience.
It's the time, it's the experience, it's the
memories.
conversation, memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like the best way to call this episode, really. Like, just to bring it all back to here's the essence of it. That was great. Let's image and kill it.